Hello, and welcome to my channel. Hey everyone, welcome back to Andrew's Wizardly Reads, and as always, I'm Andrew. And today, I've got another book review for you. But before we get into that book review, make sure you are liking and subscribing and hitting that bell notification so you can get regular updates for when I put out new content. Now, before we get into this book review, I do have to warn you, this is a second book in a trilogy, so it will have mild spoilers for Sins of Empire. If you haven't seen my Sins of Empire review, I'm going to go ahead and link it right up there in the cards, so you can go and watch that, go and read the book, then go and read this book, then come back and see my review. Or read the first book, watch my review, and then decide if you want to read it. Whatever you choose to do, I just want you to know this will have mild spoilers. That said, let's get into this review. This review is going to be for Wrath of Empire by Mr. Brian McClellan. I think Brian McClellan hit it out of the park with this one. It was a great book. For Flintlock military fantasy, I had an absolute blast. Leaving off where we were, we had just the Dionysus invading Fatrasta, the whole battle at the end of Sins of Empire. We had Vlora trying to arrest the Lady Chancellor Lindit, and then getting kind of branded a traitor and a warrant out for her arrest, and all sorts of things of that nature. We're just dealing with the ramifications of the sealing of the Godstone at the end of Sins of Empire, and it was just absolute chaos. Where we ended up at the start of Wrath of Empire was a little bit on the interesting side. Essentially, Lindit wants revenge for trying to be deposed, so she's coming after Vlora. Mikkel, who was technically the Platinum Rose at the end of Sins of Empire, has reverted back to a Gold Rose and has gone back to Landfall and is trying to help Black Hat refugees get out of the city and away from the Dionysus. And it's this really interesting dynamic. Ben Stike is still with the Riflejacks and kind of finds out early on that 10 years ago, he was betrayed by some of the Mad Lancers. And so he goes on a revenge quest. And through his revenge quest, does a little bit of self-discovery and realizes he may not have been the man that he thought he was. Which I thought was a really interesting character development. But it is, Ben is, as always, probably one of my favorite characters that I've read in the last couple of years. He's just gruff, he's in your face, he's unapologetic, he's just a force of nature. Without really having a useful magical ability in this world, Ben Stike is a bulldozer. He's a bulldog. He is just, he's really cool. That's it. Let's talk about all the characters here. Returning, of course, if you've read Sins of Empire, we have got Daniel Two-Shot and Kapol coming back. From the dead, from the supposed dead, which if you read the Powder Mage trilogy, you know that they had faked their deaths. And then halfway through Sins of Empire, he re-showed back up to pull Mikkel back into the fold, and you realize that he was always his real employer. And he is the rebel leader known as the Red Hand because of some backfired sorcery that left his skin just bright red. Which is what happens when you dabble in blood magic and are married to a blood sorcerer. But what have you. Starting off early, we get Taniel giving Mikkel, after a couple refugee runs, a new mission. He is to secure a Dionysus plant or agent or spy by the name of Mara. And in order to do, and he's not told anything about Mara. He's just got to find Mara and get her to come with him out of Landfall, whether she's willing to or not. So the entire arc in this story is Mikkel kind of infiltrating the Dionysus. He meets a spy master, I would say, for the Dionysus called Yaret, and he has to leave the Black Hats and join Yaret's family and integrate into Dionysus society. So we get to see him kind of navigate this society and political structure and culture that he is completely unaware with while he searches for Mara. We have got, from the Dionysus, we've got Cossedule. If the Cos sounds familiar, it should. We've got Cossedule and Copole. They are both Bone Eyes, I believe, is what it is. Bone Eyes? Yes, they are called Bone Eyes, which are blood sorcerers. And they are both of royal lineage. Cossedule is leading this Dionyse invasion force into Fatrasta, and has sent forces after not only Ben Stike for killing a dragon man in the first book, but also he is going after Lindit, or not Lindit. Well, he is going after Lindit, but he is going after Vlora as well for kind of bloodying their nose in the Battle of Landfall in the last book. So he sends forces after them. When we pick up with Vlora Flint, she is kind of just reeling. She is stuck on a foreign land with a group of soldiers that she is supposed to be kind of leading towards gainful employment and not risky jobs, and instead she's enlisted them in an army that doesn't even want them and views them all as traitors. This is a very, very sticky situation for her, and she ends up taking an opportunity to help hunt down the other Godstones. This is the one storyline that I didn't really felt worked out very well in the story. It brought it down to like from a 5 out of 5 to like a 4.5, which still rounds up to a 5 out of 5 on Goodreads, but it wasn't a flawless story. I really enjoyed the story, but it's missing that last little through of greatness. Again, Landfall is at this point controlled by the Dionyse, and when we are in Landfall, we are typically with Mikkel. But we do get to explore a lot more of Fatrasta. The parties go their separate ways. Mikkel is in Landfall. We get Vlora and Taniel going off somewhere else to find a Godstone. And then we get Ben Stike leading the Mad Lancers to go find another. So everybody kind of separates and gets their own separate stories. You know, Ben has his revenge arc to try and find the traitors in the Mad Lancers. Vlora is trying to kind of basically keep this conflict that has happened in Fatrasta from spilling into Adro. So she kind of reassumes her role as an Adran general unofficially, or an Adran official, sort of, and doesn't want gods to be reborn or remade or anything of that nature, and then spill that over into Adro, because she's already seen what that leads to from 10 years prior. And then we've kind of got these new dragon men that Cossedule has sent after Ben Stike, because God forbid a lone regular mortal best one in one-on-one combat. So he's kind of upset about that. Cossedule kind of seems like a petty, just bureaucrat. He's power hungry and he's petty, and so he just kind of takes these throwaway dragon men who were imprisoned during the Civil War for backing the wrong side in Dionyse and sends them after Ben, and then Ben has to deal with that on top of everything else, which was really, really great. I've already done a Ben Stike gush, but the reason for that is we get a lot of character growth in Ben. He starts looking, he realizes he's an older gentleman. He realizes he's made decisions in his life, but then he also realizes that, I'm technically a parent now. Even though she may not be his blood daughter, I forget the character's name. It escapes me. It's been a couple weeks, and I've read like 4 or 5 books since then. But he has this daughter that he picked up in the labor camps, an adopted child, and it starts altering his worldview, and he starts having to look at the world a little differently. And it's a lot of fun to see him kind of rationalize being a parental figure with being just a cold stone killer. And it's a lot of fun. I really hope you enjoy it as much as I did. That's it, guys. I mean, there's not a whole lot to go through here. Where we end up is nowhere near where we start in this book. It is truly mind-boggling how much character growth we get, And the amount of just kind of cameos and returning characters from the original trilogy who show up throughout this book, I had a lot of fun. I don't really want to get into spoilers here for this book. I will address a lot of this in the wrap-up for A Blood of Empire. That said, I do highly recommend you get this book. Structurally, it is very sound. It grabbed me from the very start of the book. 4.5 out of 5. Very entertaining, very fast-paced, and just an all-around good time. That said, guys, let me know in the comments down below what you think of this book. What do you think of the entire Powder Mage series? Do you want to see a spoiler talk kind of for this trilogy? Because I would love to get into spoilers, but that would have to be its own separate video. Let me know your thoughts. Let me know if you think I'm wrong. Let me know what you loved about the series, or check the description down below for the link to the Wizardly Duo Discord, and jump in and have a conversation with me. I'd love to talk to you. That said, guys, stay magical. Peace out. Bye.